My name is, and you're not just going to get, you are going to be different. My name is, and you're not just going to get, you are going to be different. My name is, and you're not just going to change, you are going to be different. You are going to be out, you are going to be bigger and larger than ever you imagined it possible. And you know why? It's just you and I going to find the power that's been dormant inside of you all of this time. And all of this time, you were afraid to go out and no longer will that be the case. You will be the shout, you will be the God, where God is the man. You will be the one that every other human says, hey, look, they're there, the master there, the teacher there, the truth there. No one that will make my life different. And who am I to do that? Remember this kind of stuff. I'm here to help you. I'm here to change your life. Your life will no longer be the same. Be together. I'm going to conquer the world. Before you know everything you imagine is possible. You'll become possible for one simple reason, and it is possible. My name is, and you're not just going to change. You are going to be there to be there to be there. My name is, and you're not just going to change. You are going to be there to be there to be there.
And welcome to another broadcast of Uncommon Sense. I'm here in the studio with you, to my own studio, of course, at home. And we will run this regular program as much as we can. This week it will be every day, but starting next week, it will be 2 times a week that we'll run it. Why? Because I'm preparing the other studio, the more permanent one, and to migrate the machines over there is going to be a real pain in the butt, because some of the wiring in this house is very, very, very old. So when I started to screw around with the points and the plug points and everything else, well, some of the internet connections did not speak to each other. Some of the machines did not speak to each other. So it became a little bit more difficult. So let's welcome everybody into the room. In the beginning, I can do this, and then when I get started, it becomes a little bit difficult. Ashok Thakur says, which one is you and which one is me? What? I don't know. I mean, that would be an awful thing to consider if you were giving twins, and we're twins, and we're part of, I always said you were my other butter from a different udder, but we don't know. Vin Raj, welcome. Lawrence Buckley, welcome. Anna, welcome. Judy, welcome. From Ottawa, Canada, good to have you. I love Canada, and probably will be spending a little time there before the end of the year when everything dies down. And Ayusa Corn. No, Ayusa Pumpkin. We'll change your name occasionally. Evelyn, welcome. And Judy says, hello, Mel and everybody. How did Ashok and Lawrence have the diamonds by their name? What is diamonds by their name? And Malinka, welcome. Josephine, welcome. Let me see. Let me check. Oh, you know what? They are top fans. I don't know. I don't know how they earn that. I think you have to like a lot of stuff, and so you become like a top fan. That would make you a bottom fan. Has a lot of meaning, but a little bit different. Miloš, welcome from Belgrade. And now what is that flag? Joanna, welcome. And what is that flag? Is that Italy? I don't know. And my mom is watching. Welcome. And Shirley, welcome. So let me know, Joanna, where that's from. And Richard, holy crap. Richard worked for me, 10 years ago at the DMG Capital, Philippines. Awesome. I didn't recognize the flag. I'm so sorry. It's so tiny. It's so small. So it's very hard to see. That's a Philippine flag. Thank you. Vin was helping. Today we said that, and my dad is watching me as well. So, hey, good to see you. Send me a PM. Let me know how you're doing, how you're hanging out, what's up with you nowadays, and whether you have a family, etc., etc., etc. Bought yourself a boat, finally went around the world. Let me know. Awesome. See, my mom's a top fan too, Judy. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Because she makes a lot of comments, and now there's a big difference between make a lot of comments as opposed to make long comments. Try to make your comments, Judy, as short as possible, succinct as possible, and brief as possible. The person with the most intelligence is the person who can who has an economy of words. So if you start to use a few words to describe what you're going through and all of that, then that's perfect, because that would help me as well to answer you without being a little bit convoluted. Cool? So that would help. Suba, hi, welcome. Suba Saito and Mark Flores, welcome from the Medisecret 2016 Philippines. Yes, Extreme and company, welcome. Please feel free while this is going on to share this on your wall. You can do this because if you're watching it on Facebook, just share it on your wall. Or if you're watching it on YouTube, please go ahead and do the same thing. Share it on the wall. And that way, a lot more people can benefit, and we'll have a lot of exchanges as well, going back and forth. Also, it'll be very good, and I'm very open about this, and I would love to invite you to please come and be a part of this broadcast, and it'll be awesome. Sri Kumar, welcome from Saudi Arabia. Okay, well, let me put it this way. This program is supposed to be running off your suggestions. I'm not going to come up with a bunch of things I say I'm going to cover this and this and this and this. I'm actually putting up what somebody else has already asked me to do in private messages, although it would be lovely if you put those private messages here. And if you put those private messages here, then we have a consensus for everybody coming in as well. And it'll be very, very good. Pamela, welcome. It's been a long time. Pamela has written the book on autism, and which is one of the best sellers in the subject in the United States. Welcome to the program. We can benefit from your wisdom as well. So if you have any questions related to autism, Pamela would be the best person to ask. And Pamela, if you would like to be part of the show, I welcome guests to express their wisdom, share their knowledge and their experiences, because it would be, just paying attention to me all the time can get boring a bit. So why do we hear from other people all the time? So if you want to be part of the show, let me now give you the credentials for the show. Copy to bulletin board and paste and throw in chat. Okay, I just thrown it in the chat. So if you're tuning in right now live on YouTube, you will see this. And if you're tuning in live on Facebook, you will also see this little link. And all you got to do is hit the link. I will see you down here at the bottom, and we will continue in doing all kinds of stuff. I want to teach you things that nobody else has ever taught you before. Someone had asked me just before going off the air on Friday, can you teach us to have a better memory? Teach us to have a superpower that includes the ability to think clearly. And I say, yes, of course, no problem. We can do that. And also they want to be able to focus and so on and so forth. So it's a tall order, and all that came from one person. And as with anything that you're building that's going to be beautiful in the end, that's going to serve you, you want to be able to lay a good foundation. And the foundation for everything that you do should be the why, W-H-Y. Why? Why do you want to do this? If you want to do this to impress your friends, that's not a strong enough a reason to keep you grounded, number one. Number two, to keep you persistent in finishing it and getting it done. But if the reason is because you want to improve yourself and you want to be able, you have a thirst for knowledge, but there's only so much you can read per day. You have a need, a want to improve your life, but you've read so many books that you've forgotten a lot of the facts and how to apply them, and you'd like to make it happen. So you want to remember them. How about we do it automatically? There are many, 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 many books on all of this. If I remember how I started many years ago, if I even remember, Harry Lorraine was the leading person in my time when I was a kid who was teaching about mind power, brain power, memory, how it works, and all of that. Then came a series of 6 books that I put aside. I wish I could remember the name of these books. I can't find them. They're out of print. And I kept them here or out there in my library in someplace safe. And I said, this is gold, because I used all of this to develop a superpower memory that seems to work on auto drive. It seemed autopilot. And so I wanted to bring all of that forward for children. It wasn't as complicated as all the super learning stuff we learned so far. And in fact, I decided when I had a choice to stay in Singapore around 2011, 2012, I went to Istanbul and I started to promote my book in Turkish over there. The publisher was selling out. There was a big book fair. And then I got a phone call from my publisher in Bulgaria, which was fortuitous because I wanted to get to Bulgaria at some point. I didn't know where it was. I knew roughly where it was, north of where I was in Istanbul. And the publisher said, come to Bulgaria and promote your book since you're nearby. I said, how far is Bulgaria? She said, an hour, half an hour away, Sofia. And I said, fantastic. I'll come on one condition. You find me this fellow named Georgi Lozanov, Professor Georgi Lozanov, because I tried to get a hold of him, but the people that were protecting him, surrounding him, whatever they were doing with him, wouldn't allow the meeting to take place. So I said, find him, because I was going to include him in the Metasecret, and that person made it impossible for me to do that. And so the next day, after I finished the second round at the book fair, I was in Istanbul for about 4 days. And basically, let me add Suba to the... Hi, Suba, welcome. Let me finish this story, and then I would love to chat with you, okay? Stay there. Don't move. Don't move.
All right.
So what happened was they called me and they said, we found him. We made an appointment with him. So come. And so we did. After the stint in Bulgaria, my team and I flew to Sofia. We did our thing. We said, buy the Metasecret. It's going to raise your grandmother from the dead and whatever we have to do to sell the book. And we did. And then we drove 400 kilometers in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Bulgaria, to find this man. And he was the father, 50 years previously, of super learning and everything we know, super teen, super learning, quantum learning, whatever you want to call it. And all the people who wrote those books were the ones who actually learned from him, but they gave him back nothing. So when I found him abject poverty, and I said to my team, let's make donations. Let's start making his name big. Let's announce all over Bulgaria. So wherever we had press meetings with the television, radio, I kept on screaming. The Metasecret came about as a result of Dr. Lozanov. Of course, there was no relation except through me, but that's a different story. And so we started saying that, and also at the same time, because of what we were doing and everything that we were doing, we were able to take Dr. Lozanov out of this abject poverty that he was in and bring him to a hotel where he stayed, and clean sheets, good food, and everything else for at least a year and a half before he finally succumbed to his stroke and died. Dobrin, Dr. Lozanov was the best. I was studying Suggestopedia German language by his method. All right, awesome. And Ashok is also welcome to the show. Suba.
Hello.
It has been how many years since I've seen you?
It has been a few, around 2 years, I believe.
Is it 2 years?
I believe
Feels
so.
feels a lot longer. How have you
Yeah,
been? What have you been doing? Where are you doing it? Tell
I
me
have
what's
been.
happening with you.
I have been all right. I graduated from diploma last year in counseling.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah,
And in what did you graduate?
diploma in counseling.
Good for you. And who? What is your demographic? Who are the people you're counseling?
It's generalized from my diploma level,
Hmm.
but for now, since I graduated, I'm now under an internship with Youth Corp Singapore, as you can see
Good for
by my
you.
shirt.
Youth
Yeah,
Corps. Cool.
yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Good for you. Congratulations. I. What happened to your art career?
Well, I dropped out from art school.
You did. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you say it while holding your breath. I'm curious to know why.
Well, it's not a proud moment of my life. Let's just say that.
Okay. Because oh, you can't say it on air.
Not really, but I mean, all I can say is I dropped out,
You dropped
and
out. That's okay.
yeah, and the pressure got to me, to be honest, because it's like art is meant to be subjective to the person who is viewing the art, and it's not meant to, like, say someone wants us to draw really good and then they sell the artwork for a lot of money instead of just using our creativity to draw what we want in that sense.
Right, right. So you're not allowed to have your own voice, so to speak.
Correct.
Yeah, I think if Picasso went to school in Singapore, we wouldn't have his paintings. He'd be painting murals for cinema theaters right now.
True.
Yeah, I kind of gathered what you're talking about. So you are very happy where you are right now. It's such a surprise to see you.
For now, yes, I'm very happy.
Great, great. Welcome to the show. Did you want to share something with everybody, or did you have a question that I can help
Well,
you solve? Are you in
at
a
the
very
moment,
windy place?
yes, my fan is blowing next to me.
Could you blow it away from you? Yeah,
Yes, is it
all
better?
right. Much, much. Yes. So I'm not used to people being blown while they talk to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I was just joking. Um, did you have a question you wanted me to answer?
Um, how do you deal with family who does not seem to understand where you're coming from in that sense?
Oh, welcome to Earth. Did I not welcome you to Earth? This is what
You did.
families do, and they don't do it with ill intent. They do it
True.
because they are concerned about you. If they didn't like you a lot, if they didn't love you a lot, or they didn't think they were doing right by you, if they were negligent, they didn't care what you did, and they wouldn't say a word. It's kind of like the guy on the street who's doing the wrong thing. They'll just leave him alone, let him die by himself. But they don't want to see you fail, and they don't want to see you be miserable. True.
True.
So they, family, quote unquote family, a lot of words start with F that we like and don't like. And family
True.
depends on your mental state. How you feel about your family in terms of gratitude, what you are grateful for. This is an exercise I want you to do just for fun. Just for fun. On a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On one side, write the things you are grateful for your family. include father, mother, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, whoever is a primary in your nuclear family. All right.
Right.
And then on the other side, write down all the reasons why you hate them, and in a way, so the negatives and the positives. Could you do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And now just mentally in front of me while we're talking, say 5 negative things about your family. I mean, if it's like too negative, like they're ugly as hell and no, because they're gonna hear this. So if it's safe negative, like they won't let me be. They always make sure I wash my face with detergent, whatever, things like that. Maybe 2.
Well, they seem to be overreactive.
Overreactive. What's the opposite of overreactive? Underreactive?
It means they don't care at all.
They don't care at all. Okay, good. Just curious. Okay, I just want to get that word. Sorry. And one more.
They don't seem to understand from the other perspective, so they're not empathetic.
Not empathetic? Like you mean the other perspective, meaning the other is you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes
Then again, sometimes I think maybe I'm being selfish about thinking like this.
It's not a question of selfish or not selfish. It's a challenge. Some people look at me and they say, Mel, I wish I was as good verbally as you are, that I can express myself clearly and creatively like you do. And sometimes when we get a response from different people, for people outside of us, and that response is the report card for how well we communicate. You know what I mean? Because if you don't communicate well, that means you failed at communicating an idea because they didn't get it. And so with me, I close almost every sale, 99%. Literally. Sometimes the 1% is I just don't like the person for some reason. I just don't. But and so if I fail to communicate to my parents something, or they become reactive and angry and it means I failed. So I gotta become creative now. Remember, even if you're in counseling, the creative bones inside of you are still there. The creative bones that told you to take art, photography, is still there. So even if you become a counselor and you're meeting with a patient, a client, you usually just say client is good enough. Don't say patient, client, friend, like I do. A client or a friend, when you chat with them, sometimes they'll go into all kinds of convolutions and you go, what the hell do I do now? Holy shit, holy fuckballs. This is tough. You speak to yourself, your self-talk is, how should I go? This way? I should go this way? Should I do it this way? Should I go underneath? All the different modalities you have to use, right? So you have to think more creatively. How do I approach this? The same way with any form of communication, especially for the people who think they know more than you, which is usually your parents. We have lived longer. We are more wise. That usual talk will be there. Some people can have 40 years of experience or 50 years of experience. Or some people can have 1 year experience 50 times. It all depends. Some people learn, some people don't learn. So if you want to be wise, then turn everything back to you. Don't blame yourself. Just say, shit, I didn't say it well. How can I do this? Then you approach it from a different angle. And then try different words. Repeating the same sentence over and over again doesn't help. And making it louder doesn't help because they're not mentally ill. They just didn't hear what it is you wanted to say. So that's 2 on one column already so far. That's very good. The other column, balance it out with 3. Sometimes you got to have a little bit more you got the pros and the cons. That was the cons. Here's the pros. Tell me something wonderful about your family.
I'm grateful for my mom being understanding.
Understanding, mom. Wow, how wonderful that is. Good.
I'm grateful to my mom for working hard for the family, even though my dad does not seem to know this.
Or he doesn't seem to acknowledge it, right? Is that it? Doesn't seem to acknowledge it. He probably knows it, and there's some kind of ego thing going on, but it's okay. That's between them, nothing to do with you. They're adults. Not necessarily wise, but they're adults. Wait,
True.
How old are you now, kiddo?
I'm 24 this year.
24.
24.
I met you when you were what?
13.
13. Holy shit. In school.
Yes.
Wow. Been a long time.
It has.
10? No, 11 years. Is it?
Yes.
Wow. Do you remember the first thing you complained about when you met me when you were 13?
Was
Do you
it my
remember?
fault?
Do you remember what you were struggling with?
It was
Bullying.
either grade or bullying. Right.
Yeah. Do you remember you were being bullied by your classmates?
I mainly remember the iceberg theory you were teaching.
Correct. Yeah. And you used it and it worked. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
And then I told you years from now you won't even remember all this. And you said, no, I'm going to remember. I want to bury them in the ground. And now it's years later. How do you feel about that?
I better remember it.
I know. It doesn't. At the moment that we go through a crisis, they're usually not as bad as unless we step back. If you step back and take a perspective, you begin to realize they're not as heavy, not as sucking, not as painful as you think they are, right?
Right.
And so now one more needs to go to the positive list about family. Mother already so far, brilliant, helpful, exciting. And what was the first one again? I'm sorry. That they're understanding.
Yeah, my mom is really understanding.
Great. And the third one?
My brother is hardworking as well.
Yeah, related to you though. These have got to be points related. Your brother is older, younger? Remind
He's
me.
older. He's 26. Actually,
Okay.
27.
Sounds like you look up to him.
In a way, but at the same time, not exactly.
Okay.
Because it's more like he sometimes sides with my dad with regards to punishing me.
Sides with your dad. Okay. The punishments are they tie you to a tree and let the ants crawl up you, or
More like threatening that he'll remove my Wi-Fi, asking me to wake up my ideas, saying I have zero social skills, my attitude is bad.
wow, that's quite a list. It belonged on the other side. But okay, that's good too. That came out flawlessly. Threatening your Wi-Fi, that's terrible to do to another human being, is to remove their Wi-Fi, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. And
yeah, then you're left with what? Conversation? Jesus, God forbid that you should stop and start to do reading maybe. Remember I told you? What did I tell you about reading?
Reading is to gain knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And I told you to read and read and read and read. And
And I do
to
have
never
storybooks.
to never stop. Even now at this point in my life, I read about 2 books a day at least. Do you know that? And now it's so much easier because I get them for free on the internet, literally. I have friends who send me these books. Hey, Mel, have you seen this book? And boom, I'm reading it. And then they write me later in the evening and said, okay, when you finish reading it, tell me what you think. I read it. No, I mean, that's 250 pages, Mel. What the hell? I said, yeah, it's done. Let me tell you what I think.
Wow. I wish I had
So-
friends who could send me different books every day for free for me to read.
Poor thing. If you don't have friends, let me introduce you to a very close friend who will supply you with a lot of books. You ready? You want to write his name down? You got a pen and paper?
I have a phone in my notes, but yeah.
Okay. Grab your phone and your notes.
I have paper.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
G
G.
as in great. G
Yes.
as in
G.
Mel Gill. Yeah. GOOGLE.
O. Google.
Yes. Google is such a close friend of mine, you know. And whenever I don't have anything, I don't wait for friends to send me these books. I search where I can find. And I type before the book title, I type in free book, free downloads. And there's so many people doing the not good thing. I don't condone copying people's books and doing this and that. A lot has happened to my books as well. Go please and type in whatever books you think are necessary. With counseling, for instance, one of the biggest books that I read was by Wayne Dyer. Did you know Wayne Dyer before he became motivational psycho-spiritual guru? WAYNE.
Wayne and Dyer.
Dyer. DYER. He was my friend before he died. My mentor, my teacher as well. He wrote a book on counseling. He was a counselor. He got his PhD in counseling psychology, and of course, Conan Nightingale made him very famous, and so on and so forth. And the rest is history. So he reads and writes and reads and writes and reads and writes. Reading should be something you do like you would eat candy or ice cream or drink water. For every bottle of water you drink, make it a point to read at least 1 book a day. Do you know why this country you live in, Singapore, is such an amazing country on the world map? I'm not going to speak about the current leadership because the man who built it.
The man who built the economy.
The man who built this country out of nothing. We used to be Malaysia. Did you know that before 1969? Was it 65? I have no idea.
1965 was when Japan was when the bombs went down in Japan, and then
20 years earlier.
Freedom.
45. That's 65 was not the bombs. Okay.
That was Singapore's independence then.
Yes, Singapore. I don't know if it's 65 or 69, but before that, this piece of soil that this little red dot used to be Malaysia, and then they gave it to this one guy who was very ambitious, and he seceded when the riots came about. The Malay people were killing the Chinese people back and forth. You were too young. You were still swimming in your father's mind.
Yeah.
And he would probably remember it. But the point was that the Lee Kuan Yew built this island and made it into a first world nation. That's amazing. Every country that surrounds us is still third world. We are first world nation out of all of that. And one time he asked me into his office, called me when I had my radio show, And I thought I was going to get into trouble or go into jail because of something I said, because it's usually the case. I don't say things that are polite. But it turned out he read my book, Uncommon Sense, and he wanted to congratulate me for doing the job I did and da-da-da-da-da. And he said, I just got your book yesterday. I said, great. I hope you enjoy reading it. I've read it, he said. Holy shit. They said, oh, wow, you read it already? He said, yes. It's 480 pages. He read it already. And then I asked him what he read and how his reading habits were and this. And he said, I read at least 2 books a day normally. And if there's nothing to do, then I'll add 1 more book to that. On top of running a country, on top of keeping things together, on top of being raising kids, 3 kids, I think he was. I'm not sure how many, and so on and so forth. And I thought, wow, holy crap, that's a multitasker, but a man who finishes everything. And you need very powerful focus and concentration and drive. So again, you want to help people in counseling because they're not mentally, emotionally all there, right? You want to help people straighten out their value system. So in a sense, you are a coach, a psychological coach, and you're helping them get their minds clear. But how do you help someone get their mind clear when your mind is not clear?
That's true.
How do you get to be emotionally stable and to be able to understand, help them understand their family when you don't understand yours? So it's going to be a bit tough to bridge the credibility gap, you know? And so to do that, you have to expose yourself to a lot. You have to be able to understand things from another person's perspective a lot. And usually if you start, I want you to pick up a book called Transactional Analysis.
Transactional analysis.
Analysis, yes, pick it up. 1965, I'm told that we had independence.
Yeah,
I'm looking at all the messages now. There you go. Yeah, okay. And also at the same time, another book called The Primal Scream. Primal, Scream, as in scream.
Is that an author?
Arthur Janov, 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 Janov. He's dead now, but I met him a long time ago, and I was trained by him, actually, long time ago. Transactional Analysis came up with several books, but a lot of what we know came out from the writings of a man named Fritz, Fritz, Fritz Perls, Perls.
I have heard of that name.
Yes, of course, you will have to know it, because when you deal with counseling and helping people with identifying the different parts of themselves that are fighting with another part of themselves, when things are in conflict mode inside of them, you start to create this integrative therapy mode. Or Fritz Perls is the father of all of this work, and it's very, very useful. But you must know a lot more about therapy and psychotherapy. So pick up any book you can on basic psychotherapies, okay? There might be I was just cleaning up my place the other day. Here we go. Okay, I was just cleaning up my place the other day, and I remember reading this years ago. It's called Current Psychotherapy.
Psychotherapies.
All right, this particular book was written. When? Holy crap! Year 2000. I made it essential reading for my groups I started the first diploma in psychology programs in Singapore. Train people for 6 months to become very, very good counselors. Most of them are, and most of them serve. But this is one of the books I gave them to read, and I told them read it. Know all the current psychotherapies out there, what they're doing, what they're not. And between 2000 and now, which is a period of how many
20
years?
years.
20 years. I think we have more that might be in the region of probably 55 different legitimate registered psychotherapeutic approaches to personality, to dynamic personality interventions and things like that we can help. So you must be the most read person on the face of the earth. I am not going to you as a counselor if you know a lot less than me.
I understand.
So you must read. From today onwards, start to read. You don't have to do 2 books a day. You can start with 1 book every 3 days, 4 days, and then start to increase it to 2 books, maybe 1 book a week, to 2 books a week, to 3 books a week. Not novels and little trashy little things, unless you want to become a novelist. But more on what you study, counseling. I forget Wayne Dyer's book. I know I have it somewhere, but it probably is in Chicago, not here, because that was like early. But he wrote one of the first books ever, so that you would know. Cool?
Cool.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about how through the perspective of outsiders, counseling is mainly a very professional track. Although there have been news of people who have branched out to other areas such as program management, and also becoming teachers in order to teach others through counseling as well.
Yeah.
So do you also understand these different paths? Because I don't think I am aware of them. Probably I need to read up more.
There's a joke. Those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach, consult. But you don't take me seriously. I'm just joking. Why are you in counseling? Why? Why the switch from complete artwork to illustrating to cartooning to why the switch?
Being honest, since I was young, I actually wanted to do counseling. Back when I was in primary school, I was alone. I was alone in a garden, and it felt like people were bullying me, they were avoiding me, and I realized that I do not want other people to feel just like how I felt back then. So because of that, I want to reach out to people and assist them so they don't have to feel like how I felt back then.
Okay. And you will be doing this by, how do you identify your students? I mean, your clients. How do you identify the clients that are bullied?
Well, they're more willing to learn. They're quite enthusiastic to learn, as well as they know what they want to be in life. They know where they want to go.
Mm-hmm. If tomorrow, I touch wood, okay? I hope it doesn't happen, but if tomorrow your family dies in a car accident, let's just say, and they're not supporting you at school anymore, would you still continue being a counselor? Because that's what you come out as. You become a counselor.
I would take a few days to grieve about it, but then yes.
And
It
because
will.
you don't
Me,
want to go into grief therapy, and it's called, the whole field is called thanatology, where you help people deal with grief and dying, and people who have had people die, and so on and so forth.
it's true, but again, I'm sensitive. My emotions are quite sensitive by nature, so in a way, I seem to absorb these emotions into me, and I need to find a way to handle this. So I end up becoming emotionally resilient as well.
You think so?
That's what I think, at least.
um I have good news and bad news for you, kiddo. Which one do you want to hear first?
Bad news.
All right. The good news is that you are very kind, very, very kind soul. And you really put your life out in the line, wanting to help as many people and hoping that people don't walk in the same shoes that you walk. And that's the good news. That's what I like about you, your kind heartedness. The bad news is you're gonna have to connect your head with your heart at the same time. Because you see, um, number one, counseling, and this is from a personal perspective, okay? Because I am psychotherapist, counselor, we're all the same. We're in the mental health field. As Dobrin rightly pointed out, the most suicides have happened in the self-help field, the mental health field. People kill themselves because nobody understands them, or they understand other people too much. They know what drives them. They know what their motivators are, inside and outside, and so on and so forth. No, the Wayne Dyer didn't. Yes, he wrote Erroneous Zones, Lawrence, but there was a book that was all text, a textbook. I will find it tomorrow. I'll put it up by Wayne Dyer. It was all about counseling. It's about yay thick, just to let you know, because I want to know how the man thought as well. I have been through a lot, kiddo. I have been through more pain than you can ever hope to experience in your lifetime. It's very difficult, but it's a kind of insanity that you have, that I have, the same. We think that we want to help a lot of people, but yet at the same time, we have to examine the parts of us that are clear before we can do that. You will not make much money from this. Money is not going to come easily because not a lot of people pay counselors a lot of money. If you become like one of these hoo-has on the stage, big, white, and screaming like you know everything, well, maybe you might end up with a few $1 million in your pocket. But then you're going to be held back by a lot of prejudice, by a lot of people, especially in this culture. You're going to be held back by a lot of people who are going to look at your background, and the first thing they're going to say to you is, and they're going to find out what it is you do, and so on and so forth. And so you need to bridge the credibility gap by having many, many years of counseling under your experience. Under your belt. So I would suggest that you avail yourself of all the, there are boys' homes. They call them boys' homes here, and all of this. I forget the names. I used to send all my students there while they were doing class with me, because the only way you can bridge the practical with the theoretical is when you face the kids themselves. And I will send them to the hospices. And I will send them to the places that, in the cancer ward. The cancer ward was a little bit iffy because I had to send only my best students there, and I had to vouch for them that they won't screw up their mental, capability and all of that. But I want to put them in very hard situations until at least 70% of them said, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore, because they take it home with them. They swallow it. And so you will take it home with you as well. But you have to learn several skills, including how to counsel with 120% of your involvement, mental, emotional, psychic, physical.
Right.
And after that, to be able to divorce it from consciousness while you live your regular life with your family. Hopefully you have I don't know what your propensity is towards men, women, whatever. Your family, whoever you decide is your mate, whoever you decide is going to be your children. You might want to follow the Singapore ideal, 2.5 children, 1 dog, things like that, whatever.
To be honest, my mom actually talked to me about this, and I felt that I wasn't ready for marriage yet.
Good, good. I don't think anybody usually is ready for marriage. They think they are, but they're not. And you don't have to find them. I'm talking about when you have to live your life and go to work, and your work and your personal life are different. You cannot bring home your work because it's going to be very difficult and very heavy on your family.
It's very
So
draining as well. Yes.
yeah. So let me ask you the same questions I asked you 10 years ago.
All right.
Question 1, as honestly as you can. Okay?
All right.
If I gave you all the money you needed in the world, literally right now, $1 million check, I'll sign it and give it to you. Is $1 million good or no? I don't know now the value of money.
Being honest, it would be enough for me.
It would be enough. You keep saying being honest. Are you normally dishonest?
I'm always
I'm just
honest.
curious. Oh, okay. Sorry. Is it being honest? I thought it's something different. So, okay. I give you a check for $10 million. Okay?
All right.
Imagine you received it.
All right.
You cash it, it's in your bank.
All right.
Okay? You don't have to work anymore. Nothing.
True.
What would you be doing with your day?
I would move out of my house firstly.
Number 1, yes, so that you be surrounded by the kind of influences you want. Yeah. Good. Away from the influences you don't want. Great. What else?
And
What's the second?
I would move to the countryside, preferably near a beach environment. Near a
Then
beach.
you're not talking about Singapore. There's no more countryside here.
True.
Everything that used to be countryside, even my Seletar base, air base, and all that is no more. It's all concrete jungle, getting worse.
I would move to Australia then.
Good for you. Which part?
Sydney.
Sydney. And why? Because of Bondi Beach? Good-looking men are all there?
Because of the many beaches, and as well as I have some close friends there.
Fantastic. And what would you be doing with your day in Sydney? Because remember, you don't have to work anymore.
Well, I would do. I could draw. I could focus on my hobbies, which is drawing, which is reading.
Drawing, yeah. Take a deep breath and relax. You stop breathing for a while. I don't know why. Okay, yeah. And you would wake up and you would take a drawing block or easel, or how would you draw?
Well, I have my trusty sketchbook nearby me, so I can draw. I also have a small journal where I can write down story ideas. Sometimes I have lucid dreams as well. So from these lucid dreams, stories come and flow, and I write them down.
Very good. Awesome.
In a way, under psychotherapy, that can be considered dream journaling.
Yes, absolutely. Dream journaling is something prescribed by Carl Jung. In his book Interpretation of Dreams, which is also good reading matter. Fantastic. That's awesome. That's the first half of the day. What would you do with the second half? Afternoons.
The second half of the day I would spend with friends, because although money is important technically for me, my friends and social circle that I have around me is important as well. And I would probably save the rest of the money in different investment banks so that I can level them out and plan my finances, expenses, income, so on.
Wow. Very good. Very wise. Very forward-looking. Is your dad somehow a banker or investment counselor or something like this? Or no? Well, who else to handle your affairs than a lawyer, right? And what does your mother do?
She's a kindergarten principal.
Uh-huh. Okay. So what else would you do with your $10 million? You would do this every day?
Well, I would need to plan out my expenses and yeah, and then do some maths to
It's
figure
gonna take
out
you a
how
long
much.
time. It's gonna take you at least 20 years to spend 10 million bucks, kiddo.
True, but I mean, I can still go overseas. I can still enjoy myself by walking around beaches, by going to libraries, buying all the books that I can afford, and then
And
watching movies.
watching
Watching movies.
movies.
Yeah.
Movies. Okay, great. What kind of movies do you watch? Just curious.
Um, I'm not sure how to explain this, but I'm quite picky about my movies. There's one called We Are Your Friends, in which it's a movie about music DJs and how they come to cope with the environment. By basically getting one music track, they're able to attract as many crowds as possible who love music,
So
and then
you're
from
you're
there they can
you're
make a business.
you're a closet activist.
Closet activists? I do
It
not
means
understand.
you like to stand up for some causes, like musicians and their cause, and
Yeah,
the environment. And it's uh,
musicians, magicians, whoever, as long as they have the
musicians,
passion to do what they want, then yeah, I would definitely
musicians,
support them.
beauticians, and yeah, okay. Um, After you do all of that, after a few months, 6 months, 8 months of doing all of that over and over and over again, what would you do? By then, I suspect you're going to be bored a little, right?
I mean, normally when I'm bored, I would just go to a place alone and reflect or dream or something else.
You're doing a lot of that on Bondi Beach and a few other places and around the world and all that. And when you finish all of that, what do? You've had all of that, and you still have money.
I would
At
probably,
10%.
I will probably attend different courses, learn new skills, and meet different people as well.
What kind of
Um,
skills you want to learn? Just curious. Remembering that you don't have to earn any money, because if at 10% alone, which is a lot of mutual funds will give you, that's $1 million a year you get for free for sitting on your ass.
True, but at the same time, it feels, I don't know, maybe it's just by nature, but it feels wrong to just think of taking that money all for myself. I would just buy as many experiences as possible.
Experiences, which are still for yourself, though.
Yeah. I mean, experiences like going overseas, meeting new friends, and I mean, this has nothing to do with the $1 million, but if I could find a way to make a make a business out of meeting new people and helping to build them up, then and
What kind of
traveling
business?
around the world doing so, that would be great.
What kind of business could you start that would be meeting new people and helping them and all of that? What kind of business? Just selling coffee, selling underwear? What?
Probably, I'm not sure. Online counseling sessions that are worldwide, or I haven't thought this through yet, but this is just a basic idea.
Uh-huh. Okay, so we came back to counseling. I was wondering when we were going to come back to counseling, but it wasn't number one. It was somewhere around 11, 12, 13 at the bottom.
True.
After you got bored with everything. That wasn't your primary drive to help people. It was secondary. It was like way down there in your list of priorities. The rest were telling. They pointed something out to me, and it should to you as well as a counselor as you pay attention, because sometimes the eyes that look out need to kind of look in. And you said a lot of things about taking care of yourself, which I suspect you don't do.
I
All the
don't.
time you need by yourself, all the time you need to relax, all the time you need to be with friends, all the time you need to all the things you list are the things you don't do enough of, usually. And then when everything is expended out and all of that is breathed out and you've done all of that and you're bored to tears, oh yeah, counseling. I started with that idea. Okay, yeah, we'll do something online.
All right.
You did not say the first thing out of the gate, like most horses, they come out of the gate with, when they do the racing at the turf club and all of that, all the horses come running and all of them want to be first. And right out of the gate, it wasn't, I'm going to build a center. I want people to come to center and I want people to be all right, mentally, emotionally, physically. This is what I'm going to build. Then I'll think of something else. No, you didn't do that. I'm just curious. I was just curious. That's why it didn't happen. So it looks like you're just like the art thing, just biding time and seeing how this goes, which is a luxury, kiddo. Most people don't have this ability to do that. No one has the ability, very few people have the ability to be able to say, I am bored with this. I think I'm going to do that now. And then I'm bored with that. I think I'm going to do this now. For some of them, they go to school, it's life and death. It's, if I learn this skill, I will earn more. And the poverty that my family is going through will not be so bad, or something to that effect. But take a deep breath, relax. I didn't mean to bring you down, but I am going to ask you to question your why you're in this. And then I want you to find a very good counselor in Singapore. You're here, right? You're still here?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Find a good counselor in Singapore. There are many. There are very many. Anyone, not me, because I'm very, very busy. I got too much on my hands. I'm building too many things and I'm going to space and it's just crazy. But find a very good counselor, get recommendations, and I want you to apprentice yourself for free, for nothing. Intern yourself to this psychotherapist, counselor, psychologist, if you want to. Get recommendations from the Singapore Psychological Society. They are the ones who decide who are therapists, who are counselors, and all of that. Try to avoid the hypnotherapist, because anybody and their mother can be hypnotherapists, and usually everybody and their mother is. And so you don't know who knows what they're saying or not. A lot of counselors also don't have degrees behind them and don't have a lot of training behind them. So it's very, very difficult. And they have their heart in the right place, but their minds are not. It's a little bit OTC, Otak Tak Center. So you got to pay attention to the people who are stable. Apprentice yourself and learn the skills. So while you're learning theory, you're learning the practical. And then you can see how hard it is, because the person who's the counselor, their public face and their private face are quite different. Everyone has coping mechanisms. And you need to find what is your coping mechanism to deal with the pain that a lot of people had. You are Jewish, I remember, right?
No, Hinduism.
Hindu. Why? I totally off base. Not that far, actually. Also, the reason I say that is because even if you're reading the Bible and everything, if you read when the disciples were trying to find him, there's one little passage in there where he stood on a hill or sat on a hill and he looked at his beloved Jerusalem and he started to cry. Tears came down his eyes. Why? Because he felt everybody's pain. He felt everybody's disappointment. He felt the lostness. He felt the karma that they had to go through. With some people, and when you do this as long as I have, 30 years, 40 years, you begin to see from the first 5 minutes of a conversation with someone, you begin to realize what their future is going to be like, how they relate to people and the pain that they're going to carry with them, and they're going to create more and more. And
to be honest, I hope I don't.
To be honest, yes.
I hope I don't sound wishy-washy by saying this, but I feel that I can sense this somehow.
I'm glad you were honest that time.
Yeah.
To be honest.
In addition, I don't feel like I resonate with my race and religion, and it feels that I'm more international than what I was made to believe by my label, being Indian and being under my religion.
This is what I like about you. You're still finding yourself. That's fresh. And it's very good. I need you to become the best counselor in the world, even if you don't pursue this as a career. And the way to do that is to, first of all, find out who Suba is. Okay? Find out who she is. Find out what she loves, what she doesn't love. Find out where the holes are. You know,
Yeah.
in her thinking, in her feeling, in her psychic self, all of that. Find out where it is. Be honest. That's your word. Be honest with yourself, and don't try to paint a pretty picture, but be honest with yourself. Look inside, and then find out what she's missing. Because if I look at you right now, I notice and I feel psychically a lot of sorrow still, sadness, and it's heavy, and it's hard for me to breathe. So I want to know where that's coming from. Wouldn't you?
I do.
And then when you take care of that, maybe through a session with a counselor or somebody, then maybe we can direct our flow of energy in a direction that is congruent with who we are and what we want to do in the future. You're still evolving. The choices you make now are not permanent. You can change your mind all the time. But you're moving in the direction of kindness, which is great. The direction of helping, which is great. But it sounds like you need to take care of yourself first, kiddo. And it sounds like art is still very much a part of your being. Creating something. Do you feel empty in the day if you don't create something? Like
Yes.
something's missing? Yeah?
Creating an experience, of course.
An experience or drawing or something. I am exactly the same way. There was a Nobel-winning novelist. Her name is Pearl S. Buck. Have you heard of her?
I have not heard of her.
Pearl, as in the normal pearl and in an oyster. Pearl S, as in Singapore. Buck, as in B-U-C-K.
Okay.
Yeah. She wrote a book called The Good Earth.
The Good Earth.
It's a novel. But that novel won her the Nobel Prize in Literature. And she said, in an interview with reporters, creative people bleed their creations to the world. And I feel empty if I'm not bleeding every day. I need to create a poem, a painting, a book, a story. I need to create something, a sculpture. And if I don't do that, my day is empty. You can identify with that?
Yes. Yes. Very much so.
A lot of self-examination needed, kiddo, before you go forward. But still, continue with the counseling because it will give you the tools necessary when you look out. Turn the spotlight on yourself as well. Cool? And I will check in on you. You'll know where to find me. Now you have my channel. And it's good to catch up after 10 years. Holy crap, 11 years. Good to catch up. Good to see you. You've grown. Holy crap. Very nice. Your hair is the same. You have not changed it.
I hope to get a haircut soon. Yes.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. This is a new look. It's called the quarantine hair look. It's normal. around the world. Everybody can do the same. Good talking with you, kiddo.
You too,
We'll catch up soon.
of course.
All right. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
And that was Suba. There are a lot of things that we do in life that we don't pay attention to. We do them automatically, and it seems as if we don't spend a lot of our time focused on the outcome. We just like how they make us feel along the way. And so even though today we said we were going to talk about focus and concentration and memory and building each of those with exercises that I have created and found that were shortcuts actually to everything. I even wanted to know what the shortcut was to finding balance in the way in which you approach people and your emotions towards various people in your life. But somewhere in the way, we had discussions with Keegan last week, Friday, I think it was, or so, where he talked about self-worth and he talked about self-love and all of that. Then you have my friend Ashok, who runs a program also on self-love. And in all of these discussions, there, as in Suba's case as well, she needs to remind herself, even though her parents are more pragmatic and practical and thinking in terms of how she's going to earn her living and all of that. And that is good. That's fine. That's how a parent is, a father or mother is. But there's so many ways in which you can remind yourself of how you can be worthy, how you can be worth stuff. And sometimes you have to write, you know how we have a to-do list to tell us to finish this, to finish this. Why don't we create a have-done list? I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. I look at my list and I create lists just the same as you. But my difference is I keep the list around and I file them somewhere here and I strike it off. I've done this, I've done this, I've done that. It makes me feel a little bit better than stacking my to-do in front of me. It eventually forms a mountain. And it allows me also at the same time to sort of create what we have to do. It's kind of like when people are introduced to say Netflix, like I introduced my parents to Netflix. Now they're watching movies. And I showed my mother how to put them in a queue that says my favorites or the ones I have to yet to watch. It's kind of rethinking your Netflix queue, if you will. You have to take a look at what it is you watch on a daily basis and how it helps you. Maybe it's a fitness podcast because that's what you want to do. You want to come out of this COVID thing with a fitter body and better mind and better weight, whatever the case might be that you want. But also at the same time, you want to pay attention to the fact that there might be documentaries on various things you want to learn, various things you want to get ahead with, things that you want to have new knowledge about, maybe. So TV, internet, all of these things can have a very powerful effect on how you feel about yourself. So you got to start to pay attention to that and don't be afraid to skip sometimes to something that needs to catch your better interest. And as with Suba as well, sometimes the path you're following, you may need to skip forward a few steps and find out why you're doing it and all of that. A lot of time, and I'm so sad to say this, even though I use it not a lot, but not so much, I use it more to get information out. You have to take your face out of Facebook. Scrolling endlessly through people's social media thing, and now we have TikTok. We have, it sounds like some Nazi person does this thing, you know, where we have ways to make you TikTok. You know, it's like, okay, now we're watching silly stuff that people do and people all over the world. There are pros and cons to that. The con is it's taking up your time. When you start with a TikTok tirade of various things everybody around the planet does, and it's equally spread around the planet on every continent. Even Eskimos are getting in on this whole TikTok phrase with walruses and what have you. The positive, the negative of that is that you start at 2 o'clock. Next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock. You go, oh my God, I just spent 2 hours on TikTok or Facebook or WhatsApp or da da da. The positive of that is it's bringing the planet together. Remember, I told you that when we start to grow as a planet, and we all imagine, all the hippies since Woodstock were sitting down, together, and we were saying something about, oh, the planet will take a leap forward in consciousness, and we're going to raise human consciousness, and da da da. Well, I think the planet is doing it for us. Because to be able to raise your consciousness, you first of all have to isolate yourself from people. Well, guess what we've been doing for the last few months? Isolating ourselves from people. To be able to raise your consciousness, you have to stop doing what you normally do from 9 to 5. Well, guess what? For the last few months, that's exactly what we've been doing. Not our regular stuff. We've been at home. You got to spend time to raise your consciousness with yourself. Well, guess what? This is what social distancing and isolation is all about. You got to become less social and more alone time. Think about yourself. Think about what you're going through. Think about the pain you're feeling. Think about the things from the past. Think about so much to think about that you are spending more time going in, except for the TikTok thing that you're doing. You're spending more time going in than you are now reflecting on what I wonder what he meant by that, and wonder what he means by this, and so on and so forth. You're no longer looking at people, but you're looking at yourself. So here you got to start paying attention to the fact that the planet by itself, with the help of a little virus, is about to take human evolution on a quantum leap forward. The evolution of consciousness. So we no longer looked at celebrities the way we think we want to see them, because they are now, wherever they are in their homes, looking exactly like we look when we're home. So the mystique is gone. They're human beings like us, vulnerable like us. I mean, hell, I saw Deepak Chopra the other day, decided not to shave. I mean, my God, he looks completely different. I thought, what an interesting thing. So you have to shut down this painful spiral, of how unworthy of love you are, of life and happiness and so on and so forth. You have to understand the difference that your past has brought to you, the shame and the guilt and everything else that you have. So you start to pay attention now to other people and so on and so forth. Now, because of your imminent possible death in the world, because what's the death rate in the US right now? 90,000 people dead. More coming this week. By June, more than 100,000 people will be dead. More than in the Korean War, Vietnam War, Afghanistan, and Middle East War combined. This is what happens when you put a buffoon in power who knows nothing about diplomacy. Diplomacy has been set back 50 years. Knows nothing about nation building and just divides the entire country. While the virus, the internet, social media is doing a better job of bringing communities together. And now we see the disparate. Civil war is imminent. If you don't see it, then you're blind. So anyway, let's see who has asked questions that I didn't answer yet. Come to Australia. What am I seeing here? So many comments. I'm so sorry, people. Saba, that's good advice on the practical side of psychology. You see all the challenges in psychology. Absolutely. Joycelyn is correct. Share some to the poor people. Yes, she didn't talk about sharing with anybody. That's kind of cool. Good idea, be a consultant. Lovely, Dr. Mel. Da, 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 da. Joyson says, done list. Wonderful idea, Dr. Mel. That's what I do when I'm really down. I realize I have so much at my age. I wanted to do is to help people. Hey, Keegan, I see you here on Facebook. Welcome to the show. I received your stuff. By the way, people, just to let you know, Keegan Kang was so generous that he donated to anybody who was watching. He donated this lovely, I forgot what they're called. They're supplements that would help you. And he promised it to everybody who's would be part of that. Okay, now if you want to be part of the show, Keegan, please, I welcome you on board. Today I had talked to someone about restarting that whole Incredible Tales thing. I don't know if you remember that. The man called me and we started chatting, and he has a program, cell regeneration. That's it, cell therapy. Keegan will come back on. Just click on that link, Keegan. A lot of women want to see a beautiful face as well. It's about collagen. Yes, it's about staying young again and all of that, and keeping your youth and your testosterone and everything else you need. Just click on the link, sir. Come back on and chat with us a little bit. A lot of beautiful women. A lot of women would like to see your beautiful face and chat with you as well. He says give him 1 minute, so he's putting his shirt on. Actually, leave the shirt off. That'll be a big plus. I mean, I couldn't have planned it better from their perspective. How many people want to see Keegan with his shirt off? Just give a thumbs up. Just everyone. Which of your book would you recommend to a newcomer to your talks? Vin Raj, I have written 157 books. I spend a lot of time writing and very, very little time marketing them. If you type Dr. Mel Gill in Amazon, you will find about 50 or so of my books already there. The other 100 so books, 107 or so, have not been put up there because of various setbacks and time, and I'm doing so many things at one time. So slowly, this is the time that I'm putting them up bit by bit. But the first book I would recommend that you read to understand a lot about thinking clearly is The Meta Secret. Keegan says I'm on. Hey, Keegan, welcome to the show.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. Oh, you had to put a shirt on. You didn't need to, you know.
How did you know I didn't have my shirt on?
Of course, I know many things about you.
Unbelievable.
Thank you again. I received the package that you sent.
Welcome.
I'm still looking at them and reading them. I gotta make sure that it's fairly safe because I'm taking a whole slew of different things.
Yep.
You know,
Understand. No problem.
to get the whole ticker going and all of that.
Yeah. Same. My mom just got them today actually, and we sent it I think 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it's taken a long time to get to Australia. Yeah.
Right. Because of the whole COVID thing, it's taking its time as well. Yeah. A lot of things I've ordered for my studio from Amazon are just now only arriving. It's crazy. Yeah. And even then, it's not going to work so much. Everyone says hi. Noraini says hi.
Hi everybody.
And which one of my books have you read, Keegan?
First was Uncommon Sense, which you gave to me in 2000.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And that helped me dramatically, even though I was going through. And then you mentioned Wayne Dyer as well, because there was many books I read of his. One called I think it was Manifest Your Destiny. There was a period of time where I read a lot of these books, like Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay, Dan Millman, the what's it, the
Peaceful Warrior.
Peaceful Warrior, which they made into a film with Nick Nolte. I actually like the film. It's very good. Yeah.
I haven't watched
And-
it yet. Can you believe it? I want to watch it.
Oh, it's of course the book is better because the book has just the descriptions are so much more more imagination. You utilize imagination more. And that's my uncle in the background.
Yeah, without the shirt. I told you.
Yes, this is without a shirt.
That's the consolation prize that he gets. That's what the consolation prize for those of you who wanted all of that as well.
I was trying to, hide him out a little bit, just try to get keep his head in frame, except the body. The Celestine Prophecy was actually the first book that triggered off my
Redmond.
a lot of my spiritual path. And it was very funny because when I read that book, I actually opened to the page that said there is no such thing as coincidence, and I shut it. I didn't understand what that meant, and then I left it. I came back to that book, I opened it again. Oops,
Sorry. Yes.
it's okay.
Everybody chooses now to call. Yes.
Hold for these messages.
Yes.
Well, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. So
No such thing as coincidence. Yeah.
coincidence. Then I closed the book. I came back to it again. I opened it, and it was exactly the same thing that I read. And I tried to read the book, and I think I was about 18 or 19 at the time, and I couldn't understand it. I couldn't relate to it.
Right.
And I remember I was going through quite a bad period of time in my life back then. And I happened
Are
to
you
be
able to talk about it, or?
Yeah. Oh, it was just one of those, what am I doing in my life?
Yeah.
I just started out, I was in theater school, and actually, no, this is before I got into theater school. I was studying business, and I was hating it. I only applied to business school and I got in because I wanted to be a marine biologist. That was my biggest dream, and my goal in life was to be a marine biologist. That's all I had my focus and mindset on since I was 15, 16.
Right.
And I had a diving accident, which prevented me from being able to dive again. And so I ruptured my eardrum in very cold water while I was trying to descend very fast. And as I was trying to equalize, I almost lost my hearing because I burst something in the eardrum, and blood shot out of my eyes into my mask and out of my nose and out of my ears because of the pressure.
Okay.
And that was it. I remember getting back onto the boat. When I got back to shore, I went to see the doctor, and he said, "I suggest you don't dive anymore, because if this happens again, you may lose your hearing." And in that instant, my whole dream of being a marine biologist was shattered. It was just
How old
gone.
were you then? How old were you?
Yeah. I was 17.
Wow.
And I applied for 2 schools, one in Tasmania in Launceston, and another one in Captain James Cook University in Queensland, that actually has a university like vessel that 80% of what you're studying is on the Great Barrier Reef. And so 80% is practical, and you're in the ocean every day, and you're studying ecosystems and fish biodiversity and a whole amalgamation of stuff, which is so exciting. And I didn't want to be stuck in a lab doing lab stuff. I just couldn't. I went, this is not what I want to do. And so after graduating high school, I applied to do business because I didn't know what else to do. And it's like, oh, you got to do something. and I I hated it. It became more of a social outing for me every day because we were at the bar during lunchtime.
I think
And,
you and my son have something in common.
But what I did enjoy for some reason was public speaking, marketing, and selling. But everything else to do with like quantitative and qualitative surveying and economics and just all the other stuff, it just wasn't registering. And I've noticed a sort of a pattern in my life of schooling. I always excelled in subjects that interested me. And for example, I remember doing social studies, and we were doing geography. It just wasn't registering. Nothing was just sinking in. But when we started studying European studies, suddenly I became awakened and absorbed information very fast that I could name all the capitals of every country in Europe, and all the different mountain ranges. And I don't know, I had some sort of connection or affiliation to that subject. And it's the same. It's been the same with everything. My first year of photography, I excelled. I got 98% in total out of the whole school. I was the highest. The next year, I just got a D because I lost interest. So this is just something that has been throughout my life. My life. I know I'm rambling on a bit, but coming back to what I was saying in business school, it was just those things that I excelled at, and I was getting pretty down. I just didn't know what.
Are you able to get some light on you or something so that we can? You see, because of that bright light behind you, you appear like you're in the dark.
Am I dark? How's that?
Well, much better, much better. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Great. Yeah.
All right.
Because you're like the guy on X-Files with the cigarette in the dark, you know.
Hang on, I actually have a. Let me try this. Let me test this out.
Yeah. This
okay
ominous character in the dark, you know. You now you need a cigarette in the dark as you blow from the X-Files. I don't even remember that, you know.
Is this too
there you
bright?
go, much better. Here you go. No. What you did just now is perfect. There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's much better because that whole background just disappeared.
Yes.
There you go.
No more Twilight Zone.
Yes. Now everyone can see you.
Lights, camera, action.
You should see the hearts that are going up here. And everything.
I can't see anything. I'm on a.
It's
I'm
on
using
Facebook.
the StreamYard. Yeah, I can't see the Facebook.
The StreamYard thing. Also, you see some as
Love
well.
all you guys out there. It's really fun talking to Dr. Mel.
I think you're gathering some good fans from everywhere.
I'm hope I'm not too long-winded for you guys, but
oh, you are absolutely long-winded, but that's okay.
So coming back to the story,
I
was down. I didn't know what I was doing, and I went into a bookshop and I went to the New Age section. And at this particular time, this is when I was really getting into all these books, the Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale and Louise Hayes and Wayne Dyer, and I just started sponging all these books. And to me, that made practical sense because I was applying their principles and their beliefs and writing them down and practicing them on a daily basis. And then I grabbed a book and the Celestine Prophecy fell. And when I picked it up, it was the exact same page. There is no such thing as coincidence. And that to me was, okay, this has to be a sign. This really has to be the sign. And I started to just open myself and go, okay, now I'm going to look out for the signs. I know there's something in me that is meant for some purpose. I know there's something in me that is more than the total sum of me, and I'm willing to open myself to find it. So one day, I was going through the paper, and the acting school was having its open auditions, and it scared me, but it excited me, and it shot out. And I went, hey, that's been in me all my life, except I've never done anything about it. It's always been there since the age of 4. When I first watched Bela Lugosi in
Yes.
Dracula in the 1930,
Oh, yeah. He was
39
awesome.
version, where he was just this Romanian actor that was so charismatic, but just so good in that principal
Yes.
role. And
But
unfortunately,
I was enamored by what's his name, Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee, yeah, the English actor as Dracula. Yeah, he was a very good
took
one.
up- Yeah, he did. He had this mesmerizing influence over the opposite sex. I was 8
Yeah.
years old, mind you, and I said, I wish I had that ability. That was good.
You do. That's
Wait,
why
you
400
mean-
people are tuning in.
Because are you saying I suck? Okay, now I get it.
You suck good though.
Ooh, not a good thing for two guys to talk about, especially with each other. But tell me something. So this nothing is a coincidence led you to understand that maybe this opportunity to take up acting
Yeah,
defined
because-
your whole life from now on.
Yeah,
right?
because I was scared and frightened to take on anything that was out of my comfort zone. And
What
honestly,
advice would you give? What advice would you give Suba right now if she's listening to this? With what you went through, what advice would you give her right now?
it really is find that thing inside of you that is undeniable. You know what that thing is inside of you, and if it's true to you, you will live, breathe, act it. You would just be doing it every single day. Honestly, I came into the conversation quite last. I think I came. I think I tuned in at about 10:40 or so. So I was at sort of the tail end of the conversation, and I remember the question was about if you had all the money in the world and you could do anything, what would you do? And when I answered that for myself, it was very clear to me. I'd still be doing the same thing. I would still be creating. Yep, I would still be creating. What's even better is
I was hoping for that answer from her, but it didn't come.
Yeah, I'll be able to produce the things that I want to put out in the world, and also it's a greater
Still in your field, yeah.
yeah, and also help other people to cultivate their craft and their skills and see them blossom and grow, because it's
So in one structured sentence, advice to her, Suba, what?
Suba, find your passion, live it, breathe it, do it.
Awesome. Give her ways in which she can find her passion.
Oh, I think that is process of elimination. You've got to try everything. I mean, you mentioned there was something mentioned about art therapy, and I started painting last year when I went back to Australia. I went to my mother has an art studio, and I went in there and I started painting, and I put one of my paintings. I painted one of which was a Buddha, and I put it online. And my friend who was in Bali said, "I want to buy your painting," and I said, "No, I won't. I'm not selling the painting, but I'll give you a print." And he says, "Well, you're going to give me the print because I'm paying for you and your girlfriend to come to Bali." So we ended up going to Bali and giving him the print. And then after that, I realized, oh my gosh, this is another extension of myself. So I started selling my painting prints online. which you can find
Oh,
at the
good for
Kind
you.
Studio. Yeah.
And that Buddha print, I remember seeing that
Yes.
on your Facebook one time. Beautiful.
I happen to have one here.
Ah, there you go. How nice, how beautiful is that? And how much would the print cost, and where would people go to buy it?
It's thekindstudio.com. Kind spelled
Could you type,
Kynd.
could you type it in there, and then so that everybody has it,
Sure.
and they can go there and
I'll type it
and,
into the Facebook after.
sure, absolutely.
But
And what would be the cost of buying that?
that one is $120. I have 2 prints. I've only started with 2 prints. One is a heart that
Okay.
I did, and one was the Buddha. And how I paint is I don't paint from a vision. I actually paint from feeling.
Feeling, yes.
So I don't actually see.
The end result.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I paint how I feel.
And it
Yeah.
progresses from there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I actually have several. They're all in my mother's house.
Okay.
But these are the
that-
first 2 that I started with.
That's a good technique as well. You know, start off with
Yeah.
wanting to paint a horse and end up with Buddha. That's good.
Yeah,
I just-
actually, no, it started out as the Joker.
Oh, I see.
I went to watch the film The Joker, and it
Okay.
brought out a lot of deep-seated darkness that was brewing inside of me, and has been for years.
Mhm.
And I found that as I started to paint, all this stuff started to come out. But then through this purging, I then found light, if you want to say,
Clarity.
found clarity, and the things that came out started to become more beautiful.
Oh, there you go.
And
Wow.
yeah, but I've limited the prints, so I think it's only 200. I have to check. I think it's only 200 prints, and then after that, there's no more.
Mm.
So it's a limited amount. But
Good.
yeah, a lot of my friends
You'll become. So you heard it. Keegan, the artist, doesn't produce a lot of stuff, but when he does produce it, they're beautiful, and buy them now because when he dies, they become very, very, very valuable.
don't die soon. I still got a lot more.
Don't die soon. What advice today? I started off wanting to teach people about memory techniques and mind focusing and concentration
right.
and all of that. I never got around to it, so obviously I'm going to do that tomorrow. So we'll carry through. But today
Okay.
it seemed like we were talking about finding your path with
Yeah.
you and
Yeah.
with Suba, finding her path. I knew her from like 11 years ago or
Oh,
more. And as a student in a school, secondary school, she was being bullied by friends. So I showed her how to turn it around mentally, emotionally. I didn't solve the bullying thing because it cannot be solved. It just happens. You cannot be there all the time. But you can change how people react to it and what they do. And that helped her a lot and centered her a lot. But now she needs to find, you said, passion. So,
I mean, and the scale of passion is very different for each individual. Mine just happened to be that it was always there. It was just dormant. It was just waiting for that time. It just happened to be 18 years later. And I never ever looked at the thing that inspired me in high school was I watched The Crucible, my high school production of The Crucible. And I went to watch my friend who was playing Giles Corey. But there was this other guy who was playing Proctor, a guy called, I remember very clearly, Matthew Evans. He was like this class clown. And I didn't even know about theater arts or anything like that in high school. I never even joined all that. But when I went to watch the production, he was playing the principal role. And I just remember I was fixated on him. I was mesmerized, and it did something inside of me. And I just went, I have to do this. somehow, some way, but I never did anything about it because I was scared. I was fearful. I was scared. I was frightened. And I think when I went through a lot of that darkness, like I told you, I didn't know what my purpose was. And again, the Celestine prophecy and all these wonderful spiritual things that are happening to me.
Do you know the playwright of The Crucible, the writer of The Crucible?
Arthur Miller.
Was married to Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe, yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of think, okay, wait a minute. There's one life on one end and another kind of a life that he has privately. You talked about Louise Hay. She's supposed to be in the Meta Secret. I flew down to San Diego years ago.
I remember the story. You told me that she was puffing away and drinking and pressing the.
No,
Is that right?
I asked after filming Joe Vitale, and I said, Joe, could you please go get Louise? You know, and I waited in the room where we had the green screen and everything all set up, camera, audio, and everything all set up, and we waited about 30 minutes or so, and finally I received a call from him. I said, it ain't happening, Mel. I said, what do you mean it ain't happening? It just ain't happening. Come on down. Probably a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I came down. I sat down next to the bar with him, and we had a couple of drinks and da-da-da. And I said, I can't get Louise on the I mean, she's not even responding to me right now. I said, where is she? She's over there with a scotch in one hand and a cigar in the other. Right. You can heal your life. I said, are you kidding? And she's just plastered. And there's not going to be anything you want to capture on film. So I said, okay, I'll do it another day. But of course, we got busy and things never happened. And so she's no longer with us, but it's okay. So what I'm trying to say is this. We produce great art, but sometimes I think the souls that are tortured bring out the most of their gifts and beautiful mistakes, if you will, that they've committed in real life, but no, not so much when they send it in their craft. The writers, the creators, the motivational hoo-has, the whatever, they all have another life, if you notice that. You know, one side that the public sees and another side public doesn't see. We think that couples like Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston would be perfect, and that they would be the ones that you want to live forever as a couple, but they don't. Who knows? You got a lot of kisses from Cassie. And hey, Cassie, would you like to be on the show with us? Just say yay or nay, and maybe we can support up to 3 people, I think, or maybe even 4 on this show. If you want to, all you have to do is click on that little link out there, and I'll join you, and then maybe you and Keegan can help me close up the show. We're coming to 11:18.
Well,
and what you can do is you can help us with this idea that we're talking about today, very loosely, about finding your passion, finding your career path, and that nothing is a coincidence. I love that. Nothing is a coincidence. And that book had to fall twice.
Fell once, but I mean, the closing of the pages was a few times. But when that book fell literally down and the book opened, and then when I turned it, I read exactly the same thing. And that was, to me, okay, there is there's messages here. I mean, there is something beyond myself. And
then you went on to have a girlfriend named Clementine, who is instead of Celestine, it's Clementine. I'm not kidding.
Oh, my darling Clementine.
Oh, there you go. And speaking of Cassandra, you are sideways. Could you turn your phone 90 degrees? Just no, the other way. That's a 69. The other way. Yeah. There you go. These instructions we have to give it. No, too much.
Is that
Yeah, yeah. That's perfect. That's
there you
perfect.
go.
Just stay there. Yes, that'll be good. And now you get to meet this lovely man, and this
Hello.
lovely man gets to meet you with his girlfriend nearby, just in case.
Saudi Cup.
Safety first. Safety first.
So the topic we were on, in case you just tuned in, is basically opening ourselves to faith. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that nothing is a coincidence. And Keegan was talking about his life and how he found his purpose and direction as a speaker. And so maybe you would like to contribute to that somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a faith is in a higher being. You know, some people call it the universe, and some people call it God, and we all have different words for it. But it's all a faith in a higher being than what we currently are.
And who is your higher being? Who is your higher being? Your higher being. I mean,
you know, I always call the universe because I believe in energy, and I believe the energy that we put out is the energy that we give in, that we get back. So for me, I always refer to the universe because in my mind that makes sense. But I've had beautiful conversations with super religious people, and we kind of are talking about the same thing, and we're just using different words for it, which was really mind-blowing to me. But I think essentially we all have the same faith or universe or God or higher being that we believe in. So
Keegan, your
Totally.
higher being is
You, Dr. Mel.
no. There's a difference between hired being, higher being. That's a whole different thing altogether. No, really. I mean, you
I used to call
open-minded
it-
or
Yeah, I used to. Well, I was born a Catholic, but I believe in everything because it's a universal language of higher power, existence, what you believe in. So whether you want to call it God or whether you want to call it the universe, and sometimes I do say God, sometimes I say universe, sometimes I say energy, but there is something that works in and for us, even though there are times when we feel it doesn't, even though there are times when we feel everything is absolutely shit and rock bottom, there is something working mechanics to get us back to the path we need to be on. Or I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I look at the stuff I've gone through, and I even look at this current situation now, and I go, oh my gosh, well, I've done some really stupid things, but I've also done some pretty magical stuff, and it's all hand in hand, and it's almost this balance of yin
the
and yang.
stupid and the magical go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I try, to go, do I have any regrets? Certain things, what I regret the most is whoever I've hurt along the way.
What? You were going like this, and
no, I feel like there shouldn't be any regrets because everything for us is a learning process. And like the higher being that we don't understand.
Oh. Cassandra?
I
think she's static.
Cassie.
It's always in our favor. It's just that we can't.
I think for some reason the camera didn't like the finger, so you kind of stay in one place.
Frozen.
Yeah. And I think we have her with this open mouth position. Just kind of interesting. Not saying anything. I think the internet in Bangkok super sucks, and so we don't have good internet over there. Yeah, you're not coming across very well.
Why?
What? I think she said, can you even guess?
So
No, it's just
like we did the
static.
Yeah, it's every other word. So it becomes a little bit more difficult. But anyway, whether we call it God or things, I mean, it's very tough when you're having an orgasm to scream, "Oh universe, oh universe, oh universe." You always say, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." But then again, it's expedience in a particular setting, so on and so forth. So so people use various phrases that they want to, but the point is that you believe in something other than you that's greater than you. Could be your creative unconscious mind. It could be much more than that, and we don't know for sure, right? Ashok, you are on standby. Why don't you click on that StreamYard? Let's see how many people we can put on this thing, just for fun. I want to see the extent of, since we're freewheeling anyway, we're not on topic with anything. Let's explore the limits of what StreamYard can do. So Ashok, if you want to be hitting the link, or even Noraini, if you want to hit the link again, see if I can have you on, and I'll put you on, and let's see if Cassandra's problem is related to Bangkok, maybe, I think, or something. Ashok may have gone, so we don't know. So we'll leave Cassie there for a second.
Okay.
And see if we can pull her back when her stream works a little bit better. Yeah. But she was talking about, I think, the fact that there is that you shouldn't regret anything you go through. Everything builds up. Yeah. Keegan is Keegan because of everything that you've done, everything that comes up to you. So now if you have to play a role in a movie and be a marine biologist, you can do that very well.
I hope so.
Yeah, there you go. And Ashok doesn't want to share. He says, I don't like threesomes, he says. So I don't know what that means. Now you'll be, Ashok, don't think like that. How about thinking like Three Musketeers? Look, we could be four, and the fourth one is D'Artagnan, but D'Artagnan is gone. So now we're stuck. So Ashok, come on board. Let's see what we have, and let's chat. I want to test the limit of this StreamYard. I want to know how it works. Or even Evelyn or Noraini or who else is here? I need to test and see if we can have 4 people just for fun, so that the next show we have you and a few other people that we can have on board, and also at the same time it prepares us. Remember, I was supposed to call you today. I'm so sorry I forgot, but I will call you again. Yeah. Okay. Remember, we were going to talk about the show.
Sure. The supernatural. Is it the?
Yeah. Sorry. About the supernatural.
Yeah. I did do something that I don't know if you're aware, but at Amber Beacon Tower, I did. It's a haunted tower at East Coast Park, and I did a 360 test of a camera for like a small 3 or 4 minute segment. So that's on YouTube.
You know Vin Raj? He says, long time no see.
Do I? Are you? Okay.
Come on board, Vineyard. And then you was doing a 360 and what happened? Vin, try.
Let me see. I have the link, but I can send it to you. You can have a look.
Okay.
But it's about the true story of a woman who was murdered there one night with her boyfriend, and her spirit has known to be seen at the tower at night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Cassandra's back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of 360.
I'm like.
Yes. Keegan was talking about 360, which is not a position, but he'll explain.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I worked with a director called Tony Kern, who I've worked with before in another film, which he did called After Images, which is a series of horror films. And he also did another movie called Haunted Changi. And
Okay.
he has a 360-degree camera, and so we wanted to test out the technology and to shoot something. And so we came up with this idea. This was 2 years ago, and we were just chatting, and we came up with an idea of trying to do a series about haunted places and talking about the history, talking about the place, and still not so much demystifying it, but keeping in ties with the supernatural, but making the story more interesting. Not stories that, a lot of these stories now try to use scare tactics to.
Right.
I like a series called Paranormal Witness, and it's I don't know if it's on. You can find it on the net somewhere.
Is
But
this
it's
like
American series.
disembodied Jehovah's Witnesses as they knock on doors? Oh no.
No.
No, I'm just asking. it's not, I guess. Okay.
To all the Jehovah Witness out there,
I'm just asking.
joke.
Paranormal Witness. What can I say? What can I say?
oh, I think that's Vin.
Well,
Vin.
Guess what? We can have 4 people on this thing. So, Cassie and
Can you
Vin,
hear it?
you kind of need to write yourself up a little bit. Otherwise, we only see you on the side like this, which is kind of nice and comfortable, but it'll put us in. No, again, everybody wants to go upside down, don't they? So does Cassie. She's given up. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. Vin, you're
Hi,
correct.
Vin.
You're right side up.
Hi.
Let's-
Hi.
And Cassie, you want to get right side up as well? You kind of need to write yourself up a little bit, otherwise we only see and one of you needs to turn off your Facebook or something because there's a lag. I think it's you, Vin. You need to turn it off so that we can be live. She's given up. Oh, there you go, Vin. You're correct.
I'm correct.
Yeah, but you need to turn off the other thing. Your other sound source. Yeah, there you go. Suba wants to say that she's leaving the show because she doesn't have enough battery, and she's having a late dinner right now, and she took your advice, Keegan.
See you, Suba.
One of you needs to turn off your
Hopefully, talk to you again.
Facebook or something because there's a Yeah. lag. Vin, you need to turn it off. You need to speak to me only on this StreamYard. Otherwise,
All right.
it's going to be very difficult. I'm going to cut off that. He needs to turn it off. Otherwise, we're going to get it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Cassie, you were halfway talking about the universe. And
Oh no, it's lagged again.
yeah. So it's going to be a little bit difficult.
Hey,
So
that's
we'll-
cool. You can actually have 4 people, so it actually.
So we
if
can.
Yeah, which is.
So we need to bring people on who have strong internet connections.
Yeah.
And so in the future, what we can do, tomorrow I'll discuss with you an idea
Sure.
that we can actually create a viral thing for the world. And I want to cover everything about what we're doing, take this program
Mhm.
and take it into places most people are afraid to take it into. And let's discuss it. Let's and this time it's not about talking about safe things. Let's talk about unsafe things.
Yeah.
Let's go full on into this whole conspiracy thing. Let's go
I
full
love
on
that.
into the exploration of what is out there, what is fringe energy technologies and things like that. I don't know if you know that, but my
Free-
foundation is
Free energy,
free energy and
as in like Tesla, Nikolai Tesla.
yeah, all
Yeah.
that that crazy blonde last night is
Yeah.
all up to you. Whichever free energy comes from, whatever nickname you use. But I'm just kidding. But you, but we need to be able to let people know what exists. So instead
Yes.
of just rambling about I found that the number one show in the United States is Ancient Aliens.
Oh, I love that.
Second,
I love that.
second is Duck Kingdom, or what's it called? Something about Duck Dynasty. I said, what the hell?
Okay.
About these rednecks and how they live in the
all right.
and so on and so forth.
I
But
just
anyway,
love I love Ancient Aliens because of just about the Anunnaki and Mesopotamia and how
Yes.
even I mean I get very excited about all this stuff because
that's one of the key reasons I am in Bulgaria, because when the Anunnaki split into two factions, Enki and his people
yes, the leader,
moved to Bulgaria,
and that's
or
why
that
there's
region that is
a lot of
called
giants around. Giant bones are being
bones
discovered.
and skeletons, and everybody's kind of burying that information.
Yeah,
No pun intended, but yeah,
yeah,
that's exactly what's happening.
yeah.
So let's start talking about tomorrow. I have a structure in mind. We can discuss it,
Sure.
and let's see if we can make it live. For tonight, though, you have any last bit of advice for everyone listening that would be useful in terms of this opening yourself to faith, and
Sure.
there's no such thing as coincidence? I leave it in your hands.
The first step that I took was to face my fear. And that was one of the hardest things I had to do, because for me, I was explaining before, when I had the newspaper and I saw the school, when I made the phone call, I hung up and I picked up the phone again. And when someone answered, I hung up. And I think it took me 4 or 5 times to actually talk to the person. And then they said, okay, we'll arrange a time for you to come in. And I thought it was just going in to just have a meeting, but actually it was going in with a panel of people and a stage. And they said, here's a script, just get up there and start speaking. And I remember I had the page and hands were shaking. And they stopped me and said, okay, put the paper down. We want you to lie on the stage. And they just gave me like a breathing technique. And I remember lying down with my arms open, palms up, did this breathing technique. I went on and I did it again with the script in hand. And something overcame me. And I faced the fear, and I had the courage, and I ended up getting into the school. And that's what started my whole career, because everything was about facing fear. And being courageous doesn't mean you don't have fear. It's having the fear, but choosing to do it anyway. And even till today, I still get scared. I get scared going on stage. Stage fright is very natural. Opening performance, it's even going in for auditions and casting, it's still intimidating. It's still quite scary. Even public appearances or even public speaking, it's not the absence of fear. It's still there, because there's things that go in your mind. Or what if I do this? Or what if I get it wrong? But I've got myself into a position where I face the fear and I just do it anyway, and I just see what happens and I let it go. And from that, you know what? What's the worst that can happen?
That's from Keegan Khan. Very good advice for you if you're facing a career change or a leap forward in your career. And also at the same time, it's very good advice if you are on your wedding night. Just get into position, lay on your back, face the fear, do some breathing. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen, and do it anyway. Keegan, thank you for your time. We will talk soon. Thank you. Good night,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye-bye. That brings us to the end of Uncommon Sense. Otherwise, this will take a long, long time. And Keegan is really one of my very good friends. He talked about having an ability to open to faith, to open to yourself to the idea that there can be possibilities if you allow yourself to believe just one simple thing, that there's no such thing as coincidence. There was once a man who was about to cross the sea, a wise man, tied a leaf in the corner of his robe, and he said to him, "Don't be afraid, have faith, and walk on the water. But look here, the moment you lose faith, you will drown." It's not the story of Jesus, actually. It came from Sri Ramakrishna. See, we often move away from pain, which is helpful, only before being hurt. Because once in pain, it seems the only way out is through. Like someone falling off a boat, struggling to stay above the water only makes things worse. We must accept that there are these things, and we must settle enough so that we can be carried by the deep, even though we do not know what depths there are. The willingness to do this is the genesis of faith, the giving over to currents larger than us. Even falling leaves float in lakes and demonstrates how surrender can actually hold us up. The moment we think we are drowning is the moment that we begin to float over everything. We can learn from the leaves that ducks swim around in. You see, in life as in water, when we curl up or flail around, we sink. When we spread and we go still, we are carried by the largest sea of all, the sea of grace that floats steadily beneath the turmoil of events. And just as fish can't see the ocean they live in, we can't quite see the spirit that sustains us. Again and again, the onset of pain makes us clutch and sink. But life has taught me that how we first open after doubling over is crucial to whether we will at all heal from the pain and the struggle and the scars and the wounds that are our lot in this life. We don't have to anticipate what is coming. We just have to be able to surrender to our fate. And whatever that fate might be, pleasant or unpleasant, good or bad, positive or negative, these are judgments your ego makes, depending on how it feels. All you have to do tonight, tomorrow when you awaken, is amor fati. Embrace your fate. Love your fate. That you are alive to experience all of the problems that life has, all of the situations that it gives you. Some would be exactly the way you like. Others will not, and it will be totally unexpected. The universe is unfolding as it should. Good night, everyone. Thank you for listening to this program. It's called Uncommon Sense. And you've been listening to the voice of Dr. Mel Gill. Tomorrow when you wake up, you will face a new day. And around 9:30 a.m. New York time, this broadcast will begin. And we'll talk about focus, memory, and concentration. for now, understand that at 4:30 Bulgarian time and 9:30 p.m. Singapore time, there's an opportunity for you to choose to be on this show and give me your voice. I will continue this week, every day, to broadcast. It will only be 2 days a week from next week onwards, because I want to give you programming that you can take, and you can take home with you, and you can learn and encapsulate in your machines. Good night, everyone.